Good afternoon, everybody. Wednesday, the 15th of July. Thank you all for tuning in. And you've probably noticed you've been greeted by a sea of friendly-looking faces, and mine up in the top-hand corner as well. So hello and welcome. The reason that we've got so many people with us today is I am very lucky that the council, advisory council, have just had their quarterly meetings, one of their quarterly meetings. And I managed to, I'm not sure if I persuaded them to come on or they persuaded me to go or what it was, but one or the other. And what I'd like to do is very quickly ask everybody who they are, and that could cause a few little wrinkles along the way. These are the people who have been elected to be your representatives on the advisory council. And the advisory council then, as the word suggests, advises ICB on its direction. Make sure we trim our sail accordingly and that we all work towards your collective best ends and give you the best support and advice we can. Now, I'm not sure how it works with you, but bang in the middle of my screen, I've got Paula Vitti, who is the elected chair of council, and she's been steering this particular ship for, sorry about these, talking about the sea and ships all the time. I seem to be in that phrase of mine today a little bit. Anyway, she steered this particular ship now for 3 years, 4 years, I can't quite remember, but done a particularly good job. Paula, kick us off with who you are and a little, very short piece about you if we can, or otherwise we'll be already at 4 o'clock.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm Paula Vitti, current chair of the advisory council. It's been about 3 years. How time flies when you're having fun. I'm based in Kent, as the banner behind me might give away, and run my practice Empower accounting services down here. Been a member of the ICB since 1998. Not one of the first, but not far off. I do joke that you get less time for murder. Been around and part of the Institute for a very long time, and great to have such a good team around me at the moment as well in the advisory council. We just had a fabulous meeting, and probably Gary's going to just get each of them to say a little bit about themselves.
Yeah. Very quickly, yes, it's often said of the vice chair, they are always the bridesmaid, never the bride, but actually Steve Worrell here, so hi Steve, you've actually stood in a couple of times for Paula, so you know what it's like to be at the, I'll carry on with it, at the helm. So tell us a bit about yourself, please, Steve.
Yes, I'm Steve Worrell. I'm Vice Chair, Paula's Vice, based in just outside Leeds in Yorkshire. Been in practice for near 25 years. Been a member of the ICB again for a similar length of time to Paula. So we've served our time together, and like she says, still not got let out yet. So, going through. Been on the Advisory Council for 10 years. Has been very rewarding, enjoyed every minute. We have 4 meetings a year, as a lot of you know, and I've enjoyed being involved in watching and helping the ICB develop. We've got a fantastic team around us, and they'll all introduce, the ones that are here will introduce themselves to you. A lot of them, I'm sure you'll know the faces, but take it from me, they're a good bunch.
Great, thank you, Steve. Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy Brown. I am a fellow with the ICB. I run my practice out of Louth in Lincolnshire. I am also the branch chair of the Lincolnshire branch, which is a great branch. I've been on the council for, this is my third year now, so I'm one of the newer members. But like Steve said, I've enjoyed every minute of it. I find it fascinating and love to be able to share my opinions.
Juliet. Unmute.
Sorry, technical. I'm Juliet McKenna. I'm the Operations Director of the Accounts Department Northeast up in Washington, Tyne and Wear. I'm in a practice with Susan Lang, who's also on the council but isn't with us today. I've been a member of the ICB since 2011, I think. I've been a sole trader, a director of my own limited company, and now, as I say, I'm co-director with Sue of a different, we've merged. I've been on the advisory council for probably about 5 years now, I think. And I just enjoy helping, sort of connecting members and the ICB, really.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, that's obviously one of the main reasons that we have a council, is to keep us connected, keep our feet on the ground. And Kirsty St. John.
Hi, I'm Kirsty. I'm from March in Cambridgeshire. Run Kirsty's Counting Services. I've been a member since 2007, and I've been on council for a couple of years now. Yeah, like the others, enjoy getting stuck into kind of trying to be that gateway both up and down the chain and make life better for everybody. And yeah, we're a good bunch of people, but we're always open to suggestions on what you want us to cover and any points that you want raising. Always happy to you know, my Cambridgeshire branch, we don't have that many members come to meetings, but they're you know, it's good to kind of try and feedback when we can.
Great. Who tune in regularly to ICB TV will know that Kirsty does put in a lot of questions. And the one I fielded one day was, why does she call herself St. John when it's St. John? But that's a bit of history there. And
Yep, family
we'll
history.
discuss that at the moment. Claire Allen.
Oh, hi. Yes, Claire Allen. I'm the branch chair for East Sussex. I'm sure all our local members have known me because I've been doing it for an awfully long time. I was one of the original members of the Advisory Council, and strangely still here. Nobody's ousted me as yet. Yeah, it's great to be part of the council and be able to offer my opinions, whether they're wanted or not, as to how the ICB is running and what we can do to help. So yeah, no, it's great. Thank you.
And Vicky Longmore, one of our social media specialists. But yeah, hi.
Thank you, Gary. Hi, as Gary said, I'm Vicky Longmore. I run Starbooks from Plymouth in Devon. I've been a member of the ICB since I think about 2004, and relatively new to council, just over a year. As an advisory council member, I think since April last year. And I am Carol's second in command with regards to the Devon branch down here.
Great. And talking of Carol.
Hi, yes, I'm Carol Gibson, branch chair of Devon branch, yeah, and like Vicky, have been a member of the advisory council since April last year. So I guess we're the two newbies around here. I too find it really good to be able to give my opinions and be a conduit between the members and ICB. And it's good to feel that, you know, we're in a position to actually give something back to ICB because they give us as members so much as well. I'm actually in practice in a little village on the edge of Dartmoor called Bratton Clovelly, not to be mistaken for the actual Clovelly on the coast, although we did once have a coach turn up here asking us where the car park was because their sat-nav had sent them to the wrong place.
Great. Catherine Pyman.
Hi, I'm Catherine Pyman. I'm from Knaresborough in North Yorkshire. I've been in practice 10 years, and I also chair the North Yorkshire branch that we hold monthly meetings for. I've been on the advisory council. I thought it was 1 year, but I think it's 2 years. I could be in my third year. Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, I would say a great privilege to be asked to be on the advisory council and enjoy assisting where I can.
Great. And Sylvia Boyle.
Hi all, yep, I'm Sylvia Boyle. I'm chair of Berkshire branch. I'm a companion fellow of the ICB. I think I've been on the board since the advisory council since 3 years, same time as Lucy. I think we joined at pretty much at the same time. Yeah, and it's been an interesting experience getting all the inside details and lowdown of what goes on with ICB and being able to have some kind of contribution to how the ICB develops.
Great. And last but by no means least, Victor Brownlow from Northern Ireland. Hello, Victor.
Hello. I'm, as you heard, Victor Brownlow, branch chair of Northern Ireland branch. Not a large branch, but if there are members out there listening, I would like to get contact from you. I've been around ICB since nearly as long as Paula. I think it's around the year 2000 or around about that. I've been on the advisory council since 2017, I think, like a few of the others. I had practiced for many years, but I've since given it up. I am now concentrating on trying to help other people who want to set up practices. I would like to get more members on ICB. Something I'm working on. It's not easy, but we continue.
Thank you, Victor. So, Paula, council, you get a lot of things thrown at you, really, to look at. I'm just thinking about your agenda today. You've looked at the new self-assessment tax paper. You've been looking at anti-money laundering. You've been looking at our new website, talking about the conference and various things. Give us a feel for how you feel that the council actually seriously contributes to what we do. And if we could hear you, it'd be great.
Don't worry, you didn't miss much. It was a deliberate tactic to collect my thoughts before actually.
Can I share that button with you at some stage? Because it could be useful, but never mind.
Yeah. Yes, I very much see the council has a very strategic role within the ICB because it brings together everyday bookkeepers, and you can see by the panel we are all bookkeepers, either just formally in practice or in practice. We're out there doing the bookkeeping, managing our own clients, very similar to every other member of the ICB, and we offer that link, that gateway between the everyday members and sort of ICB, what I like to call HQ, the people who are driving the Institute forward, who are managing various things like the website, AML. They're just a couple of things we covered on today. But you know, the ICB is moving forward, gaining recognition, becoming a bigger organisation, has to make a lot of decisions on things. And what we do as a team is provide that link between yourselves, the everyday bookkeepers, and people in the ICB who aren't everyday bookkeepers but are the ones formulating policy and making the ICB what it is. We love to hear from members. The branch network is a fantastic way for people to feed comments through and comments into us, and there's a mixture of discussing current issues that the ICB are looking at, but us also raising any items, any comments, any ideas as well that you as the everyday member might have. So it brings together the whole of the organisation, right from you as a member, as an everyday bookkeeper, to Gary and June, who are of course the co-founders.
Thanks. One of the things that we always say about the ICB is that we are there to support you, whether you are a person sitting at home with half a dozen clients and looking after kids, and wanted to do that, and that's all you want to do. And occasionally we come across people who want to sort of, what I always say, rule the world. Claire, I often use you in my various talks at conferences and various other things.
I know, I hear you, Gary.
All right.
It's all lies. It's all horrible lies.
It's just I quite often use you as one of our examples of somebody that doesn't want to just sit still. You actually want to grow your practice, and I mean you've done particularly well with your practice. You've got what, 14 staff members now?
Yes, 14 staff members, and yeah, quite a considerable number of clients to look after. Yeah, it's been a bit haphazard, I would say, over the years, that growth, but I definitely was not content with just having a few clients of my own. I recognised that quite early. There was at that time a very much a ceiling to how much I could earn doing just that. And if I wanted to grow a business, then I was going to have to really change things. And actually nowadays I'm running a business rather than not just being a bookkeeper. I shouldn't use that term, rather than being a bookkeeper. And actually we offer so much more than bookkeeping. Something I've always said to you before is that I hate the word bookkeeper because it just doesn't describe what we do. None of us, we just do so much more than bookkeeping and record keeping. I wish I could find a better word for it.
Well, ICB bookkeeper would do for a start. They're not just a bookkeeper, an ICB bookkeeper. Lucy, on the other side of things, you've got a practice. It's a relatively small practice. You seem very happy with that. I don't see you trying to blaze any trails particularly, but just give a really good service to your clients. Would that be right?
Yes, it's not a massively small business. I started out trying to work around my children who are still at primary school, with the idea that I just wanted to work in school hours, which is basically what I do now. My eldest is about to go to, well, he's got one more year at primary school, then goes to secondary school, and over time I hope to maybe grow a bit, but I am very keen to champion those other bookkeepers and myself who aren't wanting to take over the world and build a massive business. We just want to earn a comfortable living and do what we do and do it well.
Right. I mean, doing it well, that's the main thing. Whatever size of practice we say, if you can reach ICB standards, whether it's for one client or 101, it doesn't really matter. It is the standard. Steve, you are, well, we're in a bit of a minority here today. You're obviously, you know, a man like me, as they say. You have a slightly different practice. You've got a much, I always think, a much more accounting-led practice than perhaps some of our members. Is that right? Are you answering, Steve?
Yeah, I just lost you a little bit there. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I'm actually I sit on both sides of the fence because we work with bookkeepers as well as having an accounting practice. So we also, you know, take on the roles of actually doing the tax returns and filing the accounts, and dealing with the final part of the process really. But I form a link because I'm in business with a partner who is a chartered accountant, but I also deal a lot with bookkeepers myself, even though I adopt the role because I enjoy that side of the work. So yes, I do sit either side of the fence. So I've watched you a few times actually, Gary, on ICB TV, sort of having a go at a few accountants from time to time, and I have to sort of sit there and think, well, we're not all like that. Some of us do, some of us do have a more sensitive side. And we do bridge that gap. Can you hear me? I've not got a particularly good connection here, is it?
No, we can hear you. You're well connected, don't worry.
All right, yeah, well connected, yes, that's one way of putting it. So, but yes, but it means that I get a chance to sort of see either, sort of both sides of it, and I can see that, the problems, especially over the last few months that quite a few bookkeepers have had, and how we've encountered, effectively got through those problems and got the clients through. And I think you've stressed a few times as well on the TV broadcast that that the clients have actually realised just how important the role is that the bookkeeper takes in keeping them abreast of what's going on. And someone mentioned Jackie's Bank Furlough It's Friday post recently, which are always very useful. But I say I'm in touch with bookkeepers who I have seen the publications and the emails that are going out to their clients, keeping them informed of everything that's going on, which isn't necessarily being done by the accountants. The accountants do tend to sort of take the role of saying to their clients, well, the information's out there, we can help you. Here is a link to the website that you might need to look at. If you want any further information, come and see us and we'll charge you accordingly. Whereas I'm finding with the bookkeepers I'm working with, and so I'm in touch with a few, take on the role where they're saying, here's the information you're going to need, just so I can break that down and make it a little bit more user-friendly for you. This is what's involved, and obviously I will be here if you need me to guide you through it and take it on. And that aspect of the bookkeepers, especially the bookkeepers that I've been involved with, has forged a much more personal relationship with the clients, and the clients feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more happy while they've been sort of taken through the processes, especially with the furlough the CGRS scheme. In my case, the SEISS scheme as well, which obviously we can't do as accountants and bookkeepers, but bookkeepers can still guide the clients through. So it's been good. It's been really interesting. To see how the bookkeepers have sort of taken on that role of being there for the clients, very much so.
Yeah, I think it's been quite a defining moment for bookkeepers.
Definitely.
You know, the number of new clients that are being registered with us at the moment is just incredible, and that's fantastic. So looking at the spread of different businesses, we've you know, seen different sizes at the moment. But Juliet, you ran your own practice. Now you're a partner, and how does that work? Preferably with sound. There we go.
It's different. I've been lucky, I suppose, in that Sue and I have got similar work ethics and outlooks, and we've managed to incorporate things really well. But I didn't have staff, and I determinedly didn't want staff because I used to run pubs and have lots of staff and got lots of grief. So I was quite happy, a bit like Lucy, really, on my own on the kitchen table, just working for myself. And then I've always been fairly not greedy, but I wanted to well, I wasn't satisfied with just doing the little bit that I was doing, and then so I increased to the point where it was too much, really, I suppose. And then it's been a godsend for me, really, to be able to have, especially at the moment with everything that's happened in the last 4 months, to have somebody to help me, you know, to bounce ideas off and go through all the new procedures with. And it has worked very well. But I mean, I can see both sides of the fence now, sort of thing. So,
but you mentioned through ICB.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started off down in Claire's neck of the woods, one of her branch committee down in East Sussex, and then various things happened, so I moved up north here and met Sue basically through the branch. And last year, beginning of last year, we sort of started talking about things, and then last September we merged, and she did our speech at the summits for those who were there. And yeah, we haven't really had any major teething problems or anything at all. It's worked really well, and it's just lovely to have backup. And I don't know how I'd have coped really on my own, you know, having just lived through what we've lived through, really. So
yeah,
the clients have all taken it quite well as well. Sort of the merge,
that's all.
a different, you know, different business, and it's worked well.
Right. Catherine Pyman, from up in Yorkshire there. You've won some awards over your time there and for your branch, and you have a great branch. I've been up there a couple of times now, right next to the cathedral, which is fantastic. How did you get into all of this? How did you get into bookkeeping?
Yeah, I was a branch. I think I've been chair 6 years now, but I was in commercial banking for just under 20 years before I converted to a bookkeeper. I was a victim of the last recession in 2009, so I had the opportunity to qualify in a different profession. So I chose bookkeeping and did my qualifications through ICB. And from my bank connections and also local networking, I established a client base quite quickly. But it was great. I was kind of, when Lucy was saying about her children still being at primary school, my daughter was 9 when I first became a bookkeeper. So that was exactly how it was attractive to me, because it allowed me to do the school run and go to school sports days and activities which I'd missed out on when I've been working full time in the bank. And then after a few years, realised that there was potential to start building a bigger practice. And I get on with my clients absolutely fantastically. And the lockdown, I've been there, they couldn't have got through it without me. I've kept them informed of everything that's been happening, changing. Well, I was doing a daily newsletter to start with, but then it's got a weekly one, and then it's slightly getting slower and slower as there's less information. or less new information. But now they, like when the budget was announced, they just sort of said, we're just waiting for you to summarise it for us. So I could put it in speak that they could make sense of.
Yeah. Sylvia Boyle, you're one of our new breed of members who are actually employing their husband in their practice.
Yes, that was a bit of an accident. I never quite intended to do that. Well, he was always the director of the company. So I started out just wanting to do a little bit on my dining room table when my son was born, and so I just wanted to have something to do in the meantime. But as he's grown up and I've got a bit more I wanted a bit more than that to do. Neil was doing a real job somewhere, and then once he retired, he actually came to work for me. He keeps trying to do a qualification, but I don't know that he's actually completed one yet. He might have done. He might have done level 2, I think, the original level 2. Yeah, but gradually I've taken on more staff that come and gone. But I'm also keen to use other ICB members. So people like Lucy and Kirsty, who do a little bit of work for me, for some of my clients from time to time, and just sort of pass it around a bit. So it kind of grows organically a bit. Sometimes I feel our clients think we're a bit like aliens. We don't understand quite what we're doing, or they don't understand what we're doing. Sorry, and it's good to be able to help them.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's only some of them. I mean, one of the reasons that June and I originally set this business up was that we couldn't find a decent bookkeeper for love nor money. And we couldn't understand what language it was our accountant was speaking. So we thought there's got to be more to life than this. And, we have an accountant at ICB now, and I still don't understand what he's saying half the time. But I like graphs because you can pick out the difference between black and red. It looks good. But it's probably the wrong way to look at things, really. Vicky Longmore, you're way down on the west of the country there.
Southwest.
But there seem to be clients over every single square foot of the country. It doesn't matter where our members are, they're all busy, they're all easy finding clients. What's business like down for you at the moment?
For me personally, I'm actually sort of scaling back my client base at the moment, because I'm quite like Lucy in the sense that I've got a small portfolio of clients, and Starbooks is sort of kind of based, I guess, around me. So, and with our existing client base, they tend to sort of like to deal with me specifically. We have a bookkeeper that works for us, and also my partner runs the business with me on the kind of technical side of things, deals with our website and our advertising and marketing. Yeah, so there are clients everywhere. There's enough work to go around for any ICB bookkeeper. My interest with regards to growing the practice at the moment, not high on the agenda. It's more of a case of looking after and retaining the lovely clients that we work with. Right.
Just for those who don't know you, you were saying Star Books, which is
correct.
Your company. How did you get away with that name? You've not had somebody knocking at your door wanting a royalty fee or anything?
No, we were very clear to kind of in our branding to stay away from any green colours for obvious reasons. But no, we haven't had any issues. Sometimes if we're in conversations with new suppliers or what have they do say the name twice just to make sure that they've got it right. But no, it's we chose the name and we ran with it, and the branding has sort of gone around everything that we do, filtering through to our website and our social media. Brilliant.
I think looking at you all here and the guests that I have on ICB TV on a regular basis, I mean, our bookkeepers all look different. They've all come from different parts of the country, in fact, different parts of the world. But bookkeeping is basically bookkeeping. And if you can get into that, I think that works. In fact, I'll say hello here now to Amit Goel. He's from Integral University in India. Good afternoon, Amit, or good evening, actually, probably in your country. Nice to see that you're on with us. And Sarah King has just come in to say she's absolutely loving this. She loves looking at you all, and she's just setting up. So, Sarah, we will keep an eye on you and see what you get up to. And yeah, I hope you're going to one of your local branches and getting to meet, again, some of these lovely people. I must stress that you don't have to be a branch chair to go on to council. But we do find that once people get their feet under the table in a branch, they tend to then want to do that little bit extra. So they do tend to want to then join council. So we do have a lot of branch chairs on here. Not everybody's a branch chair, but it's one of those things I always say, you know, if you want a job done, go to a busy person. And we tend to fall back on these people quite a lot, actually. Carol, you're also from down in the southwest, not far from the sea there, and you've come from quite a different background. You've had a very heavy business background, and that helps with your advice as well as your bookkeeping.
Yes, I'm probably one of the aliens that Sylvia was talking about, actually, because I'm actually originally from the northeast of England. So I'm actually just down here on missionary work, and one day I'll convert them all. But yes, I many moons ago did a degree in business studies and went off and worked in banks, building societies and what have you. Went through all the various recessions, got made redundant and decided that I wanted to learn to cook properly. So became a chef and set up my own business doing in-home fine dining. I then found that I was more of a Gordon Ramsay than, let's say, a Tom Kerridge, and got fed up with meeting people who'd watched 2 episodes of MasterChef and decided they knew more about cooking than I did. So gave that up and thought, what else can I do? Because I didn't like to be a lady who lunched, because I often got invited to actually just go and cook the lunch. And thought back to what I'd done and thought, well, I tell you what, bookkeeping isn't a million miles away from the core subjects that I studied many moons ago. Set up my bookkeeping business, and what I find now is that the majority of my clients are actually in catering, and there's a great switch over between the information that I can give to them, not only on their bookkeeping stuff, but also on running their business, because I've been there, seen it, done it, and actually burnt more than the t-shirt very often. But it does help, I think, to have that little bit of expertise. That not only do I understand their business from a bookkeeping point of view, I actually understand it from what they're going through and what they're doing, especially in the current situation where most of them have had to close. I was able to help out by giving them advice on how to switch from being an in-house eatery to providing takeaway. Now I'm looking at the new Eat Out to Help Out scheme that lots of them are trying to get their heads around, and sort of taking a look at a lot of the businesses obviously have their own Facebook page, and lots of the comments there are from customers who are saying, oh right, well, we'll certainly come back and eat because everything will be a lot cheaper now because VAT is going down to 5%. And I'm saying to my clients, nope, you don't do that. That's there to help you, not the client. You know, just say to them, well, I tell you what, if you do that, when it goes back up, you won't mind me putting the prices up straight away again, will you? You know, it's trying to get them to understand that they don't have to, if you like, fall over backwards to help people. One particular client of mine has done an awful lot for the local community. She's organised what she calls the soup takeaway. She's provided meals free of charge to people who were shielding. And I have actually nominated her to get some sort of recognition for this, because I think
Yeah,
to the community.
I think a lot of people have stood up to the plate, which I think is great. Claire, just coming back to you, when we first started ICB TV, it was on the spur of the moment thing, and then lo and behold, it turns out you're doing one of these for your clients. The first time I'd heard this done before, but you actually risked putting all your clients together with each other. Hopefully they didn't just have a chat about what you were doing for them, but that you helped them through their darker moments.
Well, yeah, it was very, very quickly at the beginning of this, there was an awful lot of new stuff coming out from government, you know, the furlough schemes, the loans, so many things coming out. And I had clients individually contacting me, asking me questions about it. And I just thought, I can't keep answering the same questions over and over again to different individuals. Why don't I just get to everybody together on a Zoom, which we did weekly through the first couple of months. We did, probably about 10 or 12 episodes, I think, on a weekly basis, just inviting our clients and actually some of the sort of wider business community as well locally, partly a PR thing and partly just to try and keep everybody involved with what's going on, keep everyone up to date, and just an easier way for us to keep everybody together. And, you know, PR, bit of networking as well. It just kind of, it works nicely. So we're now actually doing another one next week. So we're sort of going to do it monthly now. So, because there's always stuff to talk about. There's always things we can help clients with, news to impart and so on. And yeah, so we'll probably carry on doing this actually, because it's been quite successful, I have to say. Yeah, I don't know, I probably stupidly didn't really think at the outset, I shouldn't really get all my clients together, but I actually don't see why not. It's worked really well, as long as they're all happy clients, which I hope they all are, they seem to be. And some know each other, you know, we work locally, so a lot of them know each other anyway. Some have made contact since, so it's quite a nice thing to do. It works really well for us.
Paula, we've just had a comment from Yolanda here saying that nobody from Scotland and Wales. Well, just to explain, our Welsh contingent is not with us today. They've been to council meeting but are busy. But there is a vacancy in Scotland. And in fact, it's something we've talked about today. We do have a couple of vacancies, and very shortly, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be calling for nominations for council for next year. So it would be good to see somebody coming in from Scotland, as our representative there unfortunately had to leave because of ill health. But what would you say to encourage people to get their name on the voting slip?
If it's something you'd like to do, you've now seen us here, seen that we're quite normal people, apart from Steve. But it's a great committee to serve on. You learn a lot, you meet fellow bookkeepers. So if it's something you're interested in, I would say go for it. What's the worst thing that can go wrong? You know, we are looking for new members of team. It's a bit of a difficult year this year with the COVID crisis. It means we're meeting virtually rather than all meeting together, and I think the whole year has that sort of feeling about it. But in due course, there'll be further instructions coming out about how to apply and what we're looking for. I think the phrase that's often used is a member of good standing. You know, you are going to be representing bookkeepers in your area. We need to make sure those people on council are sound, solid, committed ICB bookkeepers who are willing to give a bit of their time. But believe you me, the time you give, you get back in other ways. And you know, it's your opportunity to make a difference, and it does make a difference. I mean, it's a question Gary first asked me. So yes, if you are interested, then have a look through the application process, have a look through, you know, what information you need to send in, and don't hold back in putting your name in the hat.
No, thanks. Yeah, for those of you who don't know this, we actually break the country down into regions. So we have Northwest, Northeast, then we have Yorkshire and the Humbers, East Midlands, the East, the Southeast, the North, West Midlands, then we have Southwest, TV and Thames Valley and South, London. And what we do is we aim to have 2 representatives in each of those regions. And when the elections come up, only those regions will vote for the person they want to represent them on council. So we're doing this by some clever little voting system that we've got, so that you can't go and vote for somebody in a different region or anything like that. But the idea is to you know, it's like reaching the Northern Powerhouse and putting in HS2 and all the rest of it. It's a genuine desire to try and get the whole of the country involved. Now, we had got representation from Scotland, which unfortunately we don't have at the moment, so we're certainly looking for a couple of people from Scotland. We do have Wales, but I think we've got one vacancy coming up in Wales shortly as well. And then obviously we have Victor, who is our lone representative from Northern Ireland. But actually it all works very well, and it does mean that we can't be accused of having a south-north bias or anything like that. And it's up to the people from those regions to represent their constituents, if you like, if I can call them that, because our office is based in London and we know what goes on in the city. We don't necessarily know what goes on in the depths of Lincolnshire or Hertfordshire or anywhere else. And you keep us real, basically. You know, we need to get this information from you. And I think that's why a lot of council members, like the people you see before you today, are branch chairs or assistants, or at least or all regular attendees at branches, because then it gives them that local feel, the local idea of what's going on. And then they can make genuine suggestions to ICB to say, actually, we don't think that's working. We've had a couple of those this morning. And other things, yeah, that's done really, really well. And we're looking forward to it. We've been looking at the new website, for example, this morning. And thankfully, we got a few thumbs up for that. I mean, it's full of all sorts of gobbledygook at the moment, but the general style, it's going to be bigger and better and brighter, more accessible, etc. And then we talked about AML online, and they said it's a bit clunky and not very friendly. And can we just answer one question instead of 21? And we had Steve Hardwick, who's our head, director of AML compliance, basically standing up for his 21 questions and saying, you know, if he had his way, it would be 121. But anyway, we have a compromise somewhere in the middle. Lucy, you are in what I would call a sort of rural constituency. You know, it's certainly not exactly overpopulated as far as I'm aware. How do you manage to get round to your clients? Surely they're not all on your doorstep. You must have to travel. Is that part of what you do?
Not a lot, no. I have a couple of clients who I go to their offices, and they are 20, 25 miles away. But most I do from my home. They drop the paperwork around, or they upload it to HubDoc, AutoEntry, whatever system they or I am using, and we do most things remotely. I've got a client in London who I probably actually see more than some of my local clients. Some in Malvern, they're all over the place really, but mostly local. But that's the good thing about our business. It's not geographically restricted.
Yeah. No, well, I think that's good. And we, you know, I've said a couple of times, we do have some very varied businesses here. You know, it's all different. Catherine, last time I heard you were in some sort of stately home somewhere for your office. Turn you on. Can we hear you? No.
Yeah.
I will.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I'm still based at Collingham Hall. I'm in one of the smaller offices, but looking to get a larger office as the practice grows. But yeah, a few of my one of my clients is based in the castle, so that was quite nice. So yeah, I'm quite lucky in the locations that I have to visit. But again, I've got clients in. I'm going to say I've got one in Manchester, and geographically they're not restricted to having to be on my doorstep. So yeah, that's good. Great.
Couple of stories here, obviously, about babies and tables and various other things. I mean, is there an ideal time to start a bookkeeping business, or is it just when it just happens that you need another career or something or other? I mean, has anybody got any helpful suggestions for our people who are out there? Sylvia, hand up straight
Yeah,
away.
I think it can happen at any time. It's a useful additional career. It's something that is easy to do with parents. With parents, it's easy to do with children because you can do it at any time of day or night. And if you're going on site with clients, it's a little bit more complicated from that point of view. But with all the modern technology and online software and things, you don't have to go on site with clients. So it just makes a lot of sense. It's an easy one to take up as obviously not necessarily you don't want anybody taking it up without having some proper training. My best employee originally stopped me in the street and said, "Is bookkeeping something I can do with a baby?" She's been working for me for nearly 8 years now, I think, and a few years before that as a sort of assistant. And so that's one reason for taking it up, I think, is that it is easy to fit around family life.
Right. We got the message earlier from Sarah King saying that, this is great, she's just setting off. Claire, I know you sort of specialise a bit in, if I can call it, hand-holding and getting everything in place and you're very keen to support people when they're starting off. What are the pinch points and what are the bits that really you need to look out for, and how do you start your business working and making sure it's successful?
Okay, that's quite a lot to answer in one question. So yeah, I mean, going back to what Sylvia was saying, bookkeeping is a super, super flexible career to have. I mean, it can take you down so many different routes. You can do it from home, you can make a massive business out of it, it can take you anywhere. You can specialize in different industries, that kind of thing. So I had our branch meeting last night in East Sussex, and we were talking about marketing purely because a lot of the members were just starting out in their practice, just got their licenses, and they're actually not sure how to make the first steps to get that first client. And that's always the hardest thing. Once you get 1 or 2 clients, then it kind of snowballs a bit. You start getting referrals and you can start using that experience. But getting the first client or 2 is quite a difficult challenge and hugely nerve-wracking. So I think what I try and do is give the members some confidence to go out there and try, and give them all sorts of different tools to actually go and do that. So we were looking at the different ways we could easily find our first clients, market ourselves without A, costing anything, and without B, sort of having to put ourselves out there in an uncomfortable way. It's difficult to go networking and things when you're not really sure about things and it's all very new. Yeah. So we were just looking at all sorts of different ways, and we came up with probably about a dozen different ways in which you could start building your network around you without too much trouble, and certainly very low cost. So at branch meeting level, we do an awful lot of that kind of thing. I think next week I'm running a West Sussex branch meeting, and we're looking at pricing. How do we set the prices for our, that's another big stepping stone, is making those decisions. How on earth do you charge for your services? What services are you going to provide? What do you feel confident doing? So there is an awful lot to learn, but what I would say is there's a huge amount of support and assistance, advice, training, everything you could possibly want from ICB. And I would say ICB is probably one of the most supportive institutes, certainly in this accounting industry that I'm aware of. And everybody's so friendly. Look at us all. We're lovely people. There's lots of branch chairs here, all just wanting to help you, all wanting you to succeed. And I don't think I think I can speak for most of us. We don't see each other as being competition at all, because I think we said earlier, there is so much work out there. There's so many small businesses, and more bookkeepers are being recognised to be part of those businesses and as a profession in its own right. So lots of opportunity and lots of support there. I hope that answered one of those.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, that's great. I mean, I think the one thing that is lacking from members, if anything, that I come across, it's just that little bit of extra confidence. I mean, most of them are absolutely brilliant. They don't necessarily know that, and we do try and fill up for that. I mean, Paula, you've done a number of one-day seminars with us for our members, where you've talked to them about starting to think about scaling up their practice, not necessarily to take over the world, but nonetheless, you want to get an extra couple of clients, or you want to start employing somebody. That's very much your area.
Yes, we ran those quite a few years ago, and it's always something that is asked about, and is still very, very current. They were very successful. I know the people who came on those one-day courses left with an awful lot of information and ideas, and it was about exploring things together as well. And, you know, just to reiterate what Claire says, you know, we're not in competition with each other because every practice has a different flavour and perhaps specialises in different software or different clients. But certainly all the material from those business builder days we've still got, and now with the availability of Zoom-like webinars, you know, it's possible to probably reach a wider audience with some of the things that we did in the one-day workshops. And you know, I was fortunate enough to speak on the Inspire tour, which some of you might have listened to, and we looked at, you know, how to market in uncertain times, and I know that session proved popular. So all these things are available, and it you know, as an institute, I know that yeah, the ICB are very committed in equipping bookkeepers to get going. We want successful bookkeepers out there. We want bookkeepers who feel confident, and those who feel equipped to do a really good job for their clients, whether that's 1 or 2 clients, or whether that's you know, building a bigger practice. You know, ICB bookkeepers need to be out there doing a fantastic job, so that every client they engage with goes, you need an ICB bookkeeper. And we want you to be happy with what you're doing. If you're confident and you're happy and you enjoy what you're doing, that's going to come across in your work as well.
Brilliant. Quite a lot of our businesses we've already heard, Sylvia employing husband and various other things. Kirsty, sister about to join the business. How about that? How does that work?
Well, she's just started out on her training. She signed up to do the just right at the beginning level. She's had experience in accounts before, working for council, but always she's quite numerate anyway. But yes, when she gets trained, we'll see if we can make full use of her. I can certainly send her some practice stuff. Any tricky stuff, I can try and trip her up on. And it's a bit like learning to drive. And my dad was very keen that we learnt to drive properly with a driving instructor. And then afterwards, he took us out and said, right, now you've learnt, you know, passed your test and stuff. Now, here's how to do it properly. So, you know, here's how to kind of, here's what you're going to deal with in real life. You know, let's go just kind of maintain silly car analogies. But, you know, and it's a bit like that with bookkeeping. You know, when we get these lovely exams, I've got some books myself to try and do the next level for my exam. But, you know, they're nice round numbers and the things always match and everything else. But you don't get the 20p missing. And but you know, as it grows with experience, you kind of, if you're pernickety like all good bookkeepers are, we find you don't let things rest. You know, you kind of see an odd number, and I mean, I had a strange one this morning, and you just have to have that determination to go and you know, follow things through, and you know, not let anything lie. So I think it'll be quite good for my sister to kind of see, right, here's how it is when you learn, and here's what it's like in the real world. Now go find the missing bits.
So we'll keep an eye on Fiona and make sure there's no sibling rivalry going on, but that's fine. Now we've got a few comments coming in here. One from Sarah Douglas. Hi, Sarah. Yeah, you're coming from Scotland. I know, and at the moment nobody with us from Scotland. It's not an intentional thing. And Sarah says, would it be helpful to talk about the type of things you discuss at meetings to encourage members to put themselves forward? And I think members will be interested, but there is not much detail about the type of items you cover and how your input makes a difference. Now that is a good point, and actually, Paula, you and I have discussed whether or not we should put up a sort of a newsy item, not necessarily minutes, because that might get a bit confusing, but a sort of news item of the things that you've discussed so that it does give a better appreciation. So do you think that sort of extra communication might help us inspire a few more people to join?
Yeah, I think certainly perhaps a regular item in the newsletter about advisory council matters. I mean, when you come on council, you do sign an NDA. Some of the stuff is sensitive, and some of the stuff is kept within the council, but that's not the content of what we discuss. You know, often we're exploring something or debating something. You know, there's I was going to say there's a lot of waffle that goes on, but that might be slightly unkind to the members that are present. But I mean, yes, to have an idea of, you know, we're always getting updates on the money laundering, such a vital and important issue for the ICB and for bookkeepers, that, you know, we're actually talking about how do we ensure that everyday members realise the importance of their money laundering regulations. Absolutely massive topic, and as everyday members, you know, we've got a lot of input onto that. What can we do to reach out to members, saying that you really have to be very aware of this and very much on top of this? So that's one example of something that we talked about this afternoon. And, you know, I'd be happy to write in the ICB newsletter, and many of you have seen the articles I've written in the past, but I'm sure the team could put stuff in. So, you know, I think that's a possibility, Gary.
Good. Yeah, no, your article always goes down very well. And I know you keep telling us you've got a novel that you've almost finished somewhere, and we're still waiting for that to come out. We're not quite sure whether it's going to be the next 50 Shades of Grey or Live, Eat, Breathe and whatever it is. So, you know, we wait with bated breath on that one.
It's moving forward.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously money laundering, and it's a very important topic, but it's not one that really sets people on fire normally. They sometimes see it as a bit of a burden, but I think it's one of those things we have to get on and work with, because it is part of what we do. It's a legal requirement, and actually if we do it properly, hopefully it won't seem so onerous. Lucy, I know you've had a couple of very successful meetings with your branch where you've discussed money laundering, and people still turned up for it. So it still must be an interesting topic for some people.
I think it's a really interesting topic. I think it's one where members have great anxiety and desires to get it right, but are worried that they're not, worried that maybe their systems aren't quite in the right order, that they aren't always asking all the right questions or keeping their paperwork in order. I think things that we discuss a lot in our branch is things like your website. If you use the crest, it's got to go through to the ICB website. It's those little things that aren't so much in the big ICB webinars, such as we got in the Inspire tour. They're the little, almost soft bits that could make all the difference. So things like that, things like having your own practice risk assessment, just the things that you don't automatically think of. We all know that we've got to ask our clients whether they're a PEP, whether they're cash-based, all these things that go into the online system, but we might just forget that little thing about always updating our training log, knowing what the 5th directive is. I think it's a really important subject that people just still panic about, and potentially it's just too much for people to take in all at once, and just need a bit more hand holding, need it broken down to a lower level to make sure they've got that finer understanding.
Yeah, and Sarah has come just back on there and said, I love the AML, but I can come up with some suggestions for making it a little bit easier. Okay, Sarah, we will take you up on that, and it's something we've discussed today. It tends to have to be a little bit like filling in any legal form or documentation. Making it look pretty or feel a good thing to be doing is difficult. And it's one of the struggles that we have as a regulator and as a supporter of you out in your profession, that, you know, we have to push you forward and then keep reining you back in occasionally. But so I think most of it is down to using your what I would call your just your bookkeeping nous, if I can call it that. I mean, as bookkeepers, most of you are, well, I hate to say this, and obviously none of these here, but you're all control freaks. You do like to have complete control of your client's work and your own. So, you know, it should almost be a natural thing for you. You're the ideal people to have this sort of willingness and ability to just top and tail everything and make sure it's working properly. And actually, I have to say that over the 24 years we've been running this organisation, the biggest problem our members find is not running their clients' businesses. It's not doing any of that. It's taking time to run their own. And I think that's quite important. It's something we're going to be working on over the coming years, increasing the support we're giving you as businesses to help you run your own business. You know, it's a bit like they say about the cobbler's wife who's always got holes in her shoes. And yeah, I'm busy because I'm looking after my client, but you've got to look after yourself so that you are able to continue looking after your clients. And I think that's really important and quite often overlooked. So at the moment, we're just about sort of coming through COVID. We, as an institute, thought, oh dear, this could be bad. It can go either way. And we were very strongly encouraging our members to get out there and help their businesses, regardless of how many clouds there were on the horizon or anything else. And collectively, not just the faces that you see here before you, but all of our members have done an absolutely brilliant job. We've got small businesses right the way across the country. And in fact, right the way across the world, because as most of you know, we're in 134 countries now, saying, I could not have done this without my bookkeeper. They really came good when they were wanted. And I think that's really important that we realize just how important we were. And the reason that I'm mentioning that is that this year, 16th to 20th of November, we have the Global Bookkeeping Week. We'll be doing our conference during that. But the day to remember is Wednesday, the 18th. Please all remember this, because that is Razer Cup Day. Now, you know, if you'd been a nurse or something like that, you'd been getting your clap every Thursday night. Unfortunately, you didn't get one of those, but you have been front-facing workers for all of your businesses, for all of your clients, your employers, etc. You've been keeping your family going at the same time as you've been running everybody else's business for them as well. You deserve a lot of praise. So on that Wednesday, that is Razer Cup Day, and we're going to start raising a cup with our members in New Zealand. They're the first people to wake up on any particular day. They're going to start it. We're going to take it right the way around the world. So when it gets to the UK, I want all of you to get as many of your clients, your friends, your relatives, your kids, dogs, if you can manage it, because I know some of you are quite proud of those, according to the social media, and really raise a cup. And I want to get you to either do a live show or do some sort of selfie or something like that. Let's get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people congratulating bookkeepers, because this has been a pretty defining year for bookkeepers. Now, obviously, having said all of that, I'm told we're going into one huge recession. So a lot of your clients, we've already heard some clients have unfortunately fallen by the wayside. They may rise from the ashes like a phoenix and come out just as a slightly different business. Some of them may have to stop now, but their bookkeepers are going to be necessary again. And I think it's very important that we're there for them and we know what we're going to do and we've got a plan. Kirsty, are you starting to talk already to your clients and say, right, this is where we're going, this is what you need to do? Are you getting them geared up for expansion now?
I don't think any of them have slowed down.
Wow.
They're in a variety of fields, mostly sort of mechanical and website type businesses, and they haven't noticed a slowdown at all. Certainly I haven't noticed an interrupted workflow at all. If anything, it's kind of business as normal, and we're just trying to continue to grow. So I've had cool.
No, brilliant. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So it's just trying to sort of encourage them and make sure that you're absolutely right. They all of the people that have done the furlough with the claims and stuff, they're like, oh, thanks, the money came into the account. It's really helpful. Thank you for doing it all for me. I wouldn't, and. We had discussion amongst us, did you talk to your clients and talk to them about their claims? And they're like, most of the clients didn't have a clue what to do. They basically just completely relied on us to sort of talk them through and hold them through the whole process and just kind of tell them what they were due and here's what we've done and here's how it's worked out. Oh, I don't know about that. Just do it. They just trusted us, completely. And again, I agree with all the comments about the flexibility. That's how I started mine. I was on maternity leave from my previous job as a buyer when I did my training. And yeah, it's great to be able to fit it around originally schoolwork's now 13. So I've been at the homeschooling and as bookkeepers, we've all coped, you know, completely brilliantly these last few months with extra workload and children and, you know, family life and lockdown. It's all been a bit strange, and it's, I think we've all done a great job.
Brilliant. Julia, a lot of the people down here from the southeast have probably never been as far as the northeast up there. So we understand that one day you're going to have a nice big railway line that's going to get everybody flooding up to you, or possibly you flooding down to us. We understand that it's a bit different in the north. I mean, are you finding the situation up there is still positive? Sound? Turn on the sound? No? No? Oh, well, I might...
Sorry, sorry, my mouse is playing up, sorry. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the client, obviously, as well. You know, I suppose it's the same everywhere. I mean, I've still got quite a lot of clients down south as well, and I haven't noticed that much difference, really. They're struggling, well, small ones, depending on the type of business, they're struggling or not struggling. The ones that aren't struggling seem to be doing very well, and the few of them that are struggling obviously have been closed or have tried to open, do takeaway, try and diversify, you know, small cafes and pubs and things like that, and struggled. They've been struggling, but there is a divide. Obviously, it is different, but we've got clients up here that are still doing very well, and I think they've all tried to adapt, really, wherever they are.
Brilliant, thank you. We've just had a couple more people ringing. Suzanne Proctor, can I have more information about the council? Suzanne, of course you can. I will personally send you some information out, but there will be some stuff coming around. And then an anonymous saying, would it be useful to have perhaps a new starter so that it spreads the appeal of council? It's an election. If a new starter puts themselves forward, it's down to how many people you've got to support your application. And so that's the way to do it. So if you're a new starter, whoever you are, anonymous, put your name forward, and providing you are a new starter but also a member of good standing, which basically means you've done nothing wrong yet, and you pay your fees on time and you're not overdue with that sort of stuff, then yeah, you can put your name forward. Please do. New blood is always very welcome. You know, the people you see here today, they've all been new blood at one time, and they've all been starters, and as you've heard, they've started with young babies or teenagers or whatever it might be, and yeah, this is where it all comes from. And let me have a look. I think I've got just a couple more coming on here. Sarah Douglas, looking forward to seeing you all at conference if it happens, smile. Sarah, I think we are going to be doing a virtual conference this year. We'll be sending some stuff out. I know things are changing on a daily basis, but you know, it would be a shame for all our lovely members to be hidden behind masks and sitting 3 feet apart or 6 foot apart or whatever it is. We don't know quite, but I can assure you that if we do go virtual, it will still be a brilliant conference. We'll find a way of getting you together with all the people. It's not quite the same as that huge buzz that comes out of conference, and certainly for me, it's the highlight of my year, and thankfully for a lot of you it is also. But you know, we'll try and do something different. Louise Gibson, thank you. This is very interesting and encouraging. Studying through furlough and making plans for the future. Louise, great. I haven't had a chance to look at your record or anything like that. I presume you're going to a branch meeting. I mean, I know it's virtual, but you know, they're just as friendly virtually as they would have been if you could go to a branch meeting, and you don't have to travel. And if it's wet outside, you can just sit at home in the warm. That's it. It's really brilliant. So that's fantastic. Now, I appreciate that as a council, you've had your day taken up by council meetings. You've now been very kind and come and join me on ICB TV, because I love it that you're all so willing to share your time and your experience that little bit more. And as is normally the custom, Paula, would you like to have the last word?
Well, if you hadn't offered, I probably would have stolen it anyway.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for the people who are able to stay on. I think others wanted to, but were unable to. So, thanks guys for giving you time. We've had a good meeting this afternoon. I really hope for everybody who's listened, you've learned a bit more, not only about the council and how it works, and also about possibly coming on, but also I think it's great to hear the stories of the council members, and you can just see very clearly that we're just everyday working bookkeepers like yourself. So I hope it has been helpful. A lot of positive comments, which is always good. I think it's great to share stories because it does encourage people, and we encourage each other. So yeah, I think that's about it, sir, as a final word. And perhaps if it's been well received, we might do it again in the future.
Yeah, I hope we will. Thank you very everybody for coming on and watching today. We are a friendly institute, but we are professional and do everything properly and make sure that you get the reputation that you deserve for the work you put into becoming a member, and then the work that you do for your clients. And we are a little unique in as much as this is the only body of our type that you can actually still talk to the founder, partly because we're a youngish 24 years old, and partly because I'm extremely old. But anyway, don't forget on Friday, Jackie Mount will be back for Thank Furlough. It's Friday. I'm at this stage not sure what she's got to tell you, but there's always something happening. Thank you to the members of council generally for everything that you do, particularly for coming on today, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.